Big day, Gary.
It's a very big day because exactly 100 days ago, the last Premier League football match was played, but it's back tonight. Manchester City play Arsenal, and in the first game, Aston Villa face Sheffield United. Let's speak with a fan. Richard Cabourn, former sports minister, has been watching Sheffield United for almost 70 years. He's also a former director at the club. Richard, good morning to you.
Good morning, Gary. It's a great day
to have football
back on the television screens. Yeah.
Yes, and on the radio, of course, all the matches on the radio. How much have you missed football, Richard?
Oh, very much so. I mean, my dad took me down to Bramall Lane when I was 8 years of age. My son and my grandsons go down to Bramall Lane as well, so it's a family affair. So we missed it, yeah, and obviously Sheffield, particularly Sheffield United this season, have done extremely well and possibly could get into Europe and who knows, the FA Cup as well.
Indeed. Well, you've been going to Bramall Lane for 60 years, but at the moment, of course, supporters are not allowed to go to matches. When do you think they will? Because I think you may have a bit of news on that this morning.
Well, it's an interesting question, that. I do know that there's obviously some discussions taking place with government and the Premier League, I understand, to see whether there can be some way of getting fans back in. Obviously, the vaccine is the key. If we could get a vaccine, then clearly that would be a game changer, and hopefully that would see fans back through the gates. But there are some discussions going on, I understand, with some of the Premier League clubs to see whether they can start using obviously testing, but also digital passports as well, to see whether they can see whether that's safe enough to actually bring them in. And there are some proposals that they trial this with some of the matches, some of the training sessions, up to probably, I think the field has been banned around about 5,000, just to test that through to see whether that will work. So there are, and we obviously saw what happened in New Zealand as well with the rugby. So I think there are genuine attempts to try to get fans back through the gates again, which would be helpful not just for the fans and for football, but I think for the nation as well.
Yes. So first of all, clubs would say have a friendly, even amongst their own players, and clubs would invite perhaps 5,000 or 6,000 fans to see if it was possible.
Yeah, as I understand it, there are some British companies that are working with the clubs, both on testing, and there's obviously some fairly advanced technology. VST Enterprises, for example, have got this feed coding, or feed platform feed coding. It's third generation technology that's now been brought into sport to see whether the safety of the passporting, the digital passporting, would be sufficient to allow fans to start obviously coming back, as you rightly say, Gary, around smallish numbers, relatively speaking, 5,000, to see if that works. So there'll be some testing, and it would be, you're absolutely right again, in terms of the training sessions, as they call them, that is possibly a training ground for this technology as well. So who knows?
Richard, might we see fans back at actual Premier League matches before the end of the season? In other words, during their next 9 games?
Well, that would be. I don't know about the next 9 games. I think obviously the Premier League and others and sports generally are looking to next season as well. Because if the vaccine doesn't come on, then this could be quite significant in terms of fans getting through the gates next season. So I think whether that happens this season is debatable. Probably some trialling, but then I think in terms of next season, I think there's a genuine attempt from the technology side of it to make that happen in the event of a vaccine not becoming available. That's obviously the one that would be extremely helpful.
Richard Cabourn, thank you very much. Enjoy Sheffield United this evening. 5 Live, of course, will have commentary, more on the football in an hour. Other headlines: former top snooker player Willie Thorne has been placed into an induced coma after suffering respiratory failure. Christian Coleman, the